Right, so welcome to our session. It's called What's New in Business Central for clients for AL developers. I am Tomas Grubliauskas. I'm engineering manager for Business Central client team that is responsible for web and mobile clients. And with me today, I have my colleague, Claudiu. He's an engineer in our team, very busy right now setting up things.
Great.
And he's going to provide that a bit of technical backing. As in the last session, we had a PM. Here I'm a manager, and I have a backup engineer as well. Always come into, always have your co-pilot, pun intended. Okay, so what do we have for you in this session? We're going to cover a lot of new things that have been released in mobile app. We're going to cover at least 1.5 releases, so that in 24 and 23 that we added and then enhanced. So that's barcode scanner, worksheet pages, some support enhancements to mobile app as well. And then we're going to take a look at the general platform improvements that we have done in the web, mostly web client. It's going to be a bit of overlap what just Stefan showed, but we're going to take a different perspective. We're not going to focus so much on the AL code. We're going to take a look at the UX perspective and what considerations you should take when designing and making different decisions how you use those properties. Okay, so Claudia, are you ready?
Yeah,
okay.
But maybe before we start, it would be nice to know how many people are actually using the mobile app. Oh, well, okay, not that many, but yeah, the beginning of this session is going to be about that. So previously, at the previous BC TechDays conference last year, we introduced for the first time the barcode scanning capabilities in Business Central. And since then, we've been doing a bit more work on that. So now we support native barcode scanning capabilities in the app and in AL. It works on all supported phones, tablets, and via camera. It uses the native mobile OS capabilities to detect these barcodes and decode them. And we also provide an integration with dedicated Android barcode scanner devices. And of course, we build these features in such a way that you, as partners, can extend and make them extensible.
Yeah, Claudio, is it mobile only?
For now, yes. It works only on mobile and tablet, of course, for the camera, but maybe in the future we're also going to add the possibility to have this capability on the desktop client as well.
Yeah, I could imagine I could use my Surface camera maybe.
Yeah. Could you go?
You want to switch?
No, just
yeah,
perfect.
Okay.
In terms of the supported barcode types, out of the box we support most of the well-known 1D and 2D barcode formats. So we have kind of two types of barcode functionality. One is through the camera. So both iOS and Android, they have, as you see in the matrix, they support some certain barcode types. And then when it comes to the dedicated barcode scanner, that's something that maybe you should check with your manufacturer. What
about, is there any setup? I see a pretty long list of barcode scanners. Is there any configuration?
No, there's no configuration out of the box. You just have to call a method in AL, and then, yeah, we're going to take care of everything for you. So it's simple as that.
Nice.
Good. In terms of the capabilities, we devise them in 3 scenarios. One, we make it so easy for you to just add an action to a field, which can instruct the mobile client to just start the camera functionality and scan a barcode. So that's scenario number 1. For scenario number 2, it's based on the same functionality as the previous one, scenario number 1. But we made it so that it's extensible, so therefore when you actually get a value from the barcode functionality, then you can actually process it in an AL. And then scenario number 3, it is about the integration with dedicated barcode scanners. Okay, so let's talk about scenario number 1. As I said, it's very easy to add to an existing page or a new LA page. All you have to do is annotate a field of type code and text with the new property extended data type equals barcode. And then this will instruct the mobile client to just show the barcode scanning button, as you can see in the image on the slide. Yeah, and it's going to be rendered whether your device supports this capability. Can we actually go now in the demo? Perfect. So just let me show you. I've created a page. Hopefully this works. Nice. I've created a page, a very simple page, which has this capability. Sorry, just need to go back. Scan button. And then I have 2 fields on a list page. And as you can see, both of the fields support this scanning action. So if I'm clicking on one of these or tapping on one of these actions, then the camera functionality is just going to pop up, and I can just scan this QR code. And yeah, well, it detected already that the data is changed, and if I want to update it, you can see there's a barcode value that has been added to the associated field on which the action was annotated. If we go to the Visual Studio to see how the page looks like, this one, it's pretty simple. As I said, all you have to do is just annotate a field, in this case, barcode field 1, with the extended data type barcode, and then this is going to instruct the client to just show the specific action.
So just to understand, how does this work? So you annotated the field, but how does it work behind the scenes? It's just text input to the field.
It is just a text input that comes from the camera, but if you want to do some more advanced scenarios, when you want to actually process the barcode and maybe find items in your database or something like that, then we can go to scenario number 2. Maybe just, perfect, nice, thank you. So scenario number 2 invokes the same capability that you've seen previously. It's just that we made it that it's extensible, and you have to code specific AL code for that. It can be started from a role center queue, an action, a button, a link, or some automated logic. For example, when a page is opened, and then when you scan something, it will return the scanned barcode value to AL for further processing, and also have a demo for that. I'm just going to go back to my mobile, go back to my page. Let me just go full screen. So I created another page, camera barcode scanner sample. And then in this case, I don't really have any field which has the extended data type property on it, but I have created a simple action that triggers the barcode scanner. And then as soon as I press that action, then, yeah, the camera functionality is turned on, and now I can just scan another barcode again. And in this case, in the demo that I'm doing, I'm just updating the field with the incoming value from the barcode scanner. Then, if I'm just going to AL, I can show you how that works. In order to update this functionality, you have to declare on your page a user control, and the user control takes a camera barcode scanner provider add-in. This is something that we added in release 24. The add-in has 3 triggers, or actually 4 triggers. One of them is control add-in ready. That is when the page is embedded, or the control is embedded on your page, then we are going to call from the client this method, and you'll be able to assess whether or not the camera barcode scanner is available on your device. Then in order to call the camera functionality, all you have to do in this section, for example, I'm just calling request barcodes async on that specific user control that you just declared. And then if once that happens, then the functionality is just gonna, be triggered, and if there's a successful barcode scanned, then the following trigger is going to be called barcode available, which has 2 arguments, barcode and format. The first one being the actual value of the barcode, and the second one being the format of the barcode that has just been scanned. In the case where there's a barcode failure, then we are going to be calling this method, the barcode failure method, with the reason of the failure.
Yeah. So in this scenario, you're really putting AL developer in control, like from start of setting up the barcode scanner, calling to initiate the scanning, and also then you're fully handling what to do with the value. I guess I could imagine one extension of this scenario is that in warehouse, I'm scanning one code, but I immediately need to scan second code and third code. Is there any way to support this scenario in this full developer-enabled mode? Yeah,
so actually just added a comment for that. For example, if some of you have watched the BCLE event, the previous 2 ones actually, we already support in the base app this capability where depending on, of course, how many items you want to put in an order, then the camera functionality is just going to kind of keep on popping up until all the items in the order is going to be, added to the order. So you can do this kind of continuing scanning as soon as you get a successful scan back from the functionality.
So the way you would do it, you would just call scan in a loop until a certain condition is met, and then you can break the loop.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Perfect.
Manager gets it.
Let's go to the next one. And now let's talk about scenario number 3. This is different from what we've seen before. This is an integration with dedicated barcode scanners, and actually it hasn't really been showcased last year at BC TechDays, but we're showcasing it now. It requires configuration at the device level, since these are, well, third-party devices. It supports continuous scanning while AL processes the incoming codes. So you can actually kind of think that already that this capability could be used, or it's really handy in warehouse scenarios. The developers need to explicitly start listening for incoming barcodes, and the way that is done is via AL extensions, similar to what we've seen in the previous scenario, where we had a page with the user control and so on. The setup is done per page, meaning that multiple providers can be registered. However, there's a small caveat, and that is only the current page or topmost page will receive the incoming barcode. And I have a demo for that as well, actually. Good. I'll go back. I have created another page, simple page, which doesn't really have any actions on it or anything like that. And then I'm just going to use, hopefully this works, nice. I'm just going to use the laser barcode scanner, which you can see I'm just pressing a button here. And then as soon as I scan something, you could hear that it was a successful scan. And then you can see that the value of the input field has changed. And I also have a count to showcase the continuous kind of nature of the device. And I can just keep on scanning, for example, and then just keeps getting updated and so on. So this increases massively the productivity of your warehouse users. In terms of the AL code, the API looks similar to the previous one. You're going to have to declare a user control that takes a barcode scanner provider add-in on your page. Similar as in the previous one, you need to declare whether you need to declare the trigger control add-in is ready, and then we are going to assess whether or not your device supports this capability. Then you're going to have to call the method request barcode scanner async, and in this case, I'm calling it with 4 arguments. And actually, I can show you what exactly those 4 arguments mean. If I'm going back to my phone, then I'm just going to go to this. So usually the way these barcode scanners work and the way we integrated with them, we are doing it through intents, to broadcast intents, and that's something that Android OS supports natively. So first of all, in order to enable it, you need to set up the intent delivery to broadcast intent, and then you can declare you need to declare some configuration strings. By default, we need to have 4 strings declared in the application. That's the way it works, this broadcast intent functionality. However, my device does not really allow me to change all of these 4 configuration strings. It only allows me to change 2 of them, and that is the intent action and the intent category. And then we actually request, if you see here in the code, we request also the data string and the data type. But since I'm not able to change them, then what I have to do is check with the manufacturer of this device and make sure that, I'm able to retrieve this constants. And then when I'm calling this method, I need to declare the configuration strings that you've seen previously. That is the intent action, the category, which I just set, and then the constant ones for the data string and data type. Similarly, if your device actually supports to change all 4 of those, then all you have to do, you can just call this method without any parameters, and it's just going to work. And we actually provide a documentation. In the documentation, the 4 configuration strings that you need to change on your device for integration with Business Central. Okay, I guess we can go to the next one.
Right. So one question, Claudiu. I'm mostly iOS user, so I have many questions about Android. So you're saying there is certain hard-coded communication protocol on these Android devices. Is there any way, like I'm a business owner, I'm trying to or a partner who is trying to recommend a business to what devices to purchase? Is there any decision tree I should use when deciding what hardware to buy, what it should support?
Yeah, you should make sure that the devices that you support sending data to other apps through broadcast intent. And yeah, it allows you to configure the configuration strings. Otherwise, we are not really able, or you're not really able to integrate with Business Central.
But most of those devices would use this
yes,
way.
Yes, exactly. Most of the modern devices we are
okay.
yeah.
And I think it's always fair to just, I don't know, request a sample, try it out, see if it works with the integration, and only then order thousands of those devices. Yeah, okay.
Good. I'm going back. Next one. Okay, so now probably you've seen for a few ones already that implemented the barcode scanning functionality last year. We initially added the functionality using the client accessibility add-ins that maybe you're used to. And the way they used to be implemented was via the .NET namespace and so on. However, due to some technical limitations, we are not able to make those APIs available for SaaS tenants. Therefore, in the previous release, or actually the current release, release 24, we introduced a new way of updating this functionality, and that is via a new control-add-in API, as you've seen in my examples. This control-add-in API is a closed system, meaning that you cannot really declare them. It's us who are declaring them for you in the system app. And currently, we only provide the control-add-ins only for barcode, camera barcode scanning and barcode provider to integrate with the device. It is compared to the user controls that you are used to. It is UI-less, meaning there's no iframe. Therefore, the styling properties are not applied and no additional scripts can be provided. It is really important to mention that the .NET-based API is still supported, so hopefully you are not breaking any functionality that you've built already. But the truth is that we plan to migrate all .NET-based APIs to the new control add-ins, and probably with the upcoming releases, we are just going to keep on releasing new add-ins. Therefore, we strongly encourage you, if you are to take any new barcode scanning functionality, to use the new control add-in API. Great.
So let me wear a Yale developer hat for a second. Is there any action for me right now?
Yes, if you want to, have any barcode scanning functionality in your tenants, then you should, upgrade your extensions. But maybe you can actually see an example of how, or a comparison between the two add-ins. So, for example, here on the left side, your left, great. You have an example of how the barcode scanner provider could be integrated with the previous way of doing it via the .NET object. It's more or less, if you look at the code, it looks pretty much the same in terms of the API, but then looking on the right side pane, this is the new way to uptake the functionality using the control add-in. And it's pretty simple, didn't really change anything, it's just a different way of doing it. And the nice part about it is that you can use this functionality in SaaS, which is something that you couldn't really do before. So,
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Perfect. So now let's switch gears. We've been talking quite a lot about barcode scanning. In the current release, we are also bringing you worksheet pages on phones. They represent a simplified version of worksheet pages that they're used to on tablet and desktop. They have a shorter header section. They display all the worksheet lines. They also include a footer summary section. And of course, to edit the data, one has to simply tap on the desired area, and we're just going to slide in another pane displaying the data associated with the line. It's also really important to mention that we haven't done any change to tablets, so therefore, they are still fully supported. And now I'm just going to showcase how will they look like. Perfect. I'm just going to go to my application. I'm just going to open the item journal page. You can see already that in the header section, it displays the batch name field. If there were multiple fields, then you would actually get an action, like the one that we have in the footer, which when you would tap on it, it would just slide in another view where you could see all your fields. Then we have the lines associated with this worksheet page. And then down below here we have a footer summary section, and when we press on that we can see the item description associated with the page and some fact box data, which we don't really have any data, but this is pretty much how the UI looks like for worksheet pages on mobile. Yeah.
One question. Is there anything for me to do as an AL developer?
Not really. Out of the box, it should just work. The worksheet pages that you already have in your application should just work on a phone. However, we do advise for you to check if the UI suffices your needs, and maybe you want to look into queue groups to make sure that they look exactly as you would like them to look.
Yeah, field groups, because it's most likely that those pages have not been exposed to mobile before, and mobile phone heavily relies on field groups to promote the right fields to the UI, so you might revisit the pages to see if the optimal values are surfaced to the end user on mobile. Probably that would be the only tweak you need to do.
Yeah. Thank you. And lastly, for the mobile, we are also bringing you the help and support page that maybe you already know from the desktop experience. So now we actually enable access to help and support page on mobile devices, that is tablet and phone. And mainly, kind of the main scenario that we are going to use it for is for troubleshooting, and probably you as AL developers are going to be using it for the AL profiler. And if I'm just going to go and I'm going to show you how it looks like. It lives in the help and support on your mobile under learn, and then I'm just going to click on the action help and support. And the help and support page is just going to slide in, where most of the information that you already have on desktop is presented here. It's just in a compressed format, something that looks good on mobile. And you can just click on different actions, like for example to analyze the performance. You could start, for example, an AL profiler by just clicking on the start action. I'm not going to do that right now. And also, it's important, which maybe makes our life easier for helping your customer. When you report a problem through the ICM portal, for example, now we are doing, and we're hoping that more and more users are going to use the mobile and tablet applications. When there's an issue or something, usually we require some IDs and session IDs and whatnot to troubleshoot the problem associated with your user. So therefore, we made it in a simple way for you to just copy the text below by clicking the information, and then just share it with us in the support ticket, which is going to make our life easier to help you, faster and unblock your client.
So let's say I am a person who's about to create a support ticket, and you're the person on the other side who's going to handle that ticket. What should I provide in that ticket? Should I copy the details, take screenshots? What do you prefer? You should
preferably both, actually. Would be great if we had all the details associated with that session and so on, and then also some screenshots or a video actually of what is happening, so we'd be able to troubleshoot much easier and much faster way, and therefore, just unblock your customer.
Yeah, as always, privacy first, so we don't really need any of your company information in the screenshots. Try to blur it out. It will really make our life easy not to make sure to destroy that data in the screenshots. Not in the database, in the screenshots. Okay, so next let's talk about client platform and what's new. So we have talked quite a lot, actually across the entire conference right now, about new things we're adding. But it's always good to talk also about screen cleaning and what we're removing, because it makes our platform less cluttered. Some things maybe have dual purpose, or there's better ways to do things. And definitely there is a better way to do things with legacy list views.
Maybe it would be interesting to know if anybody knows about what legacy views are and how did they used to work like.
That would be a good quiz before I explain what legacy views are. Could I have a show of hands who know how list views used to work? We have 1, 2, 3. Very good. Then it's more likely that you will also not notice that they're gone. But just for sake of completeness, so how they worked. We used to have this magical platform behavior where we would take a look at your role center, specifically into navigation actions and queue tiles, and we would see if you have many pages that are running. Well, we have run object pointing to the same page, but you have different run page views, meaning basically you have different filters. So once user would click on that navigation node, action, or a queue, we would open an embedded list page, and we would kind of create these views on the side based on the run page view filters you had defined in role center. I know, it's a handful. And there were many problems with that, because if we would open the same list page, not in embedded mode, they would be gone. And immediately there's a user question like, where's my views? That already creates confusion. And we had even bigger story of redefining and redesigning views, and we basically have a completely new view model. And that's what we want to encourage everyone to move. They have many, many advantages. You can define sorting, you can define filtering, you can define not custom, but specific layouts for those views on pages. They also work with design and personalization subsystem, so they are extendable as well, or customizable. And users can also create custom views that was not previously possible. So just a small recap, this is from couple or 3 releases before, but on the list pages, there's now a new section called views, and there you can create view definitions. The simplest view is probably caption and a filter. They can also have shared or non-shared layouts. There's a lot of details that you can look up in the documentation. But even with such a small change, we took it really slow. We monitored the usage in production for probably 2 releases. You may have noticed a kind of nagging message popping up when you would open these legacy views in the previous release. So we were trying to slowly nudge users towards the new model. And lastly, with this release, we noticed that finally the usage dropped, the global SaaS usage dropped below 5%, and we then felt confident that, okay, now is the time we can deprecate them. So I think that was a good story of being slow and just taking it easy and not introducing any unnecessary fuss. Cool. Let's go next to more new things we're adding. So Stefan showed us how we can use the new instructional text property. I want to go from a bit different direction and explain some of the design considerations. So in essence, we're trying to avoid data entry errors. Data entry errors happen when there's a mismatch between what user's mental model is, what he's going to enter, and how the system is going to behave, and on the other side, the developer's mental model, what he expects the input to be. And the placeholder text is, so the general term, more broad term, is placeholder text. We call it instructional text. Instructional text is an opportunity to bridge that gap and avoid that error. There's multiple ways to tackle data entry errors. Of course, you can show a validation message, but this is already too late. User already made a mistake. He feels bad because system is trying to correct him. It's a lot better to give him a hint, what kind of text or value format you expect, maybe some internal usage that is specific to your implementation, anything that can help user. But it's not a replacement for a tooltip. They have different purposes. Tooltip is more explaining internal business details of what this field is about, and instructional text should be more just about the shape of the data being entered. It's really just a guide to the user. Because there's an important point about this. You should ideally provide both the tooltip and the placeholder, because placeholder or instructional text alone is not accessible. So for example, imagine you have a person who is blind. He's primarily relying on text reader to enter data in Business Central. So placeholder text, instructional text, will not be revealed to him in the screen reader because it's simply a value that is in a field but is not really in the field, so it's mostly a visual guide to the end user. So in order to be fully inclusive and creating accessible solutions, you need to provide both, ideally, field caption, field tooltip, and optionally, instructional text. That's mostly for visually guided users who are able to read and see the text, and that will help them. I will skip. I will not show again how you can do it in AL. It's one field that you can add on page fields. So, but there's more properties that you can set on the instructional text. First, you can set locked equals true. That means you don't want any translations on this field. Practical scenario would be the field purely describes just the shape of the data. Imagine maybe even a sample value or some pseudo-regular expression in there. It has no language attachment, so it would be ideally fine not to translate this value. But if it is part of translation process, it's a really great idea to provide a comment for your translation team and help to make sure that intent of the instructional text carries into a different language. Max length, again, it's a guide how long should be the instructional text, because it really starts losing value if it doesn't fit in the field. Because if you cannot see it, it's not helping you. It has to be concise, it has to be short, to the point. That's, again, why it's not a tooltip. It's very short and concise. It's mostly about the shape of the data. Some limitations. So first, in documentation, you're going to see that you could set this field on in more places in AL, but really what we are going to render in client currently is just page fields of type text, big text, GUID, and code. We're kind of reserving a bit of space to create more solutions in the future that might be more flexible and based on the same concept. Right, so Stefan also showed that it also is possible to use it in prompt dialog pages, and there it serves a lot of value because we actually are missing both label and the tooltip in the prompt input field, so it's mostly visual guide to the users what they should do with that field. And the story behind it actually carries that we went many years back and forth, should we have the instructional text, but I think the prompt dialog was the breaking straw that flipped the argument and said, yes, we actually see enough value to have this extra property on the field, and that's how it came to be. And then we realized, well, actually it could be a good general platform capability, and we expanded to all of the fields. So that's the backstory. Okay, so multi-file upload. You saw the code, how to implement it. It's really also a continuation of some good investments we made where we saw a lot of excitement. That started with supporting drag and drop first, just with single file upload. We saw a lot of community feedback about that. And it was really the next step to how we could further improve the user experience. So what comes next after drag and drop? Well, actually, I want to just select and drag multiple files. We see in the field of partner extensions, there's many extensions that actually have this single purpose custom code client add-in implemented just to support this multi-file uploading. So hopefully this will alleviate some of the implementation burden of achieving this quite common scenario, especially when paired with Copilot. You could imagine, let's say you have a company or a user who does data entry for items from catalog descriptions in PDFs. You could imagine a person just selects all PDFs, drags them over to Business Central. Copilot takes care of sorting out which data should go to which field. That would be pretty cool scenario if it doesn't already exist. Also, a bit of client behind-the-scenes details. The upload happens in parallel, so it's a bit more efficient than just single file upload. On top of that you're also saving a lot of clicks, because otherwise you would need to click an action, upload the file, click an action, upload the file, now drag and drop. Upload happens in parallel, but user is still blocked until all of the files are uploaded and processed by L. Also, all the previous size limits apply per file. So currently in SAS, if I'm not mistaken, it's 350 megabytes. Yeah, let's talk. We hear quite often that it should be a lot higher, but it's also the reasoning for us is really trying to be fair of everyone's resources in cloud as well. Okay, multi-file upload, a bit of AL code. Stefan showed it, I'm not going to repeat it. It's pretty straightforward. It's actually very familiar if you ever implemented the file upload action. It's just an extra property to say that it's multi-file upload, and of course it has a list of files to upload. Next, calendar control. This one is pretty fun because this is helping us to align more with bigger Microsoft Fluent UI design language. Our calendar control was pretty dated, so we completely flipped it around. It supports exactly the same shortcuts, same behaviors. It just looks a lot nicer. And if user is using Office, Outlook, Excel, he's going to be very familiar how that control interacts, and it's just a small reduction of just learning a new control. No uptake needed from your side whatsoever.
Out of curiosity, I've seen actually an idea on the BC Ideas website. Does the calendar actually support week numbers in your calendar?
Very good point. We took a note of that feedback, and we think it's a pretty good idea. We're just trying to figure out, because it's not only showing the week numbers, the problem is more complex, as always. Nothing is as easy as week numbers. Like, there's different ways of how you count. Apparently, there's different ways how you count week numbers. So that's probably something you would like to configure based on your country, locale, whatever. So that's something we're trying to assess. And yeah, I hope maybe in near medium future we could provide something like that. Okay, we're good on time. We're going to have time for questions. But lastly, so Vincent has the tradition of showing something from the lab. And we also are following this trend so far quite well. And we want to show something that we're thinking about. We cannot commit to deadline. We have plenty of problems and edge cases to figure out, but I still want to inspire you of something that we are looking into. So let's launch a video. So we are exploring to enable fact box resizing. So immediately, what complications we're dealing with? The primary reason why this is really useful would be, for example, client add-ins that are living in fact boxes that needs more estate to display their data. But of course, they're living in an iframe. We need to figure out how the resizing would work. We also need to make sure that our flexible design system is handling it not only in this list page scenario, but also in every single other combination that is possible. And that's usually our challenge. We're trying to design a very broad system that works for everyone. And sometimes it doesn't work for the edge case, and we usually try to make sure that we still can address it in some or other way. So we need to at least think about it. And that's what we're doing. We're doing a lot of thinking, but I hope we can make some progress on this. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, so we have time for questions, and we have some T-shirts to do. I saw one hand there.
Yeah, okay. Can you pass it on, Tomas? Yeah, I'm just gonna. And also a T-shirt. Nice. Can you just
throw it there?
Back?
Okay.
Yes, I got a question about the mobile app. I saw you when you opened the page, the cursor was blinking in the first empty field. How did you manage to do that? Because I can't.
Okay, it's actually no specific code to do that. It should just be by default. Yeah, so not really sure exactly.
But I know what you're hinting to. We don't have an API to control the field input, and we know that feedback item, we need more thinking about it. There's some also complications of what would that open up, not just for that scenario where it would be super useful if you have one field and it immediately is focused. Yeah.
Okay.
We have one more T-shirt. I guess that's our T-shirt to give away.
I can do.
Regarding the instructional text, you mentioned that it will be subject to some improvements. Would you consider possibility to change it dynamically?
That's a good input. We would like to hear a bit more, maybe a concrete scenario, and that's something we can then take into account. But come to me, or either after the session or in the tech booth, and let's discuss.
Hi. Why there is no search bar in worksheet type page? And is it possible to be added?
There is no currently.
Yes, there is no.
But what would be the scenario? Do you mean the filter pane or just list
No,
search?
just the search bar, so the shortcut F3. So if an user inputs like 300 lines into the general journal, so it's easy to filter it and search for
that's
exact.
something we're going to take a note of.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Any more questions?
There's one in the middle.
I'm gonna chat.
Spot on.
The instructional text. So, is that for will that be possible on table fields as well?
That's
Like the tooltips?
yeah. I'm trying to think. Is it generalizable or not? I guess that will be the discussion. Can it be generalized for the table field?
The
Maybe.
input will be the same.
We need to discuss with Stefan.
Which kind of license do I need for mobile client? Do I need full user license or limited or device user license?
I would usually redirect all the licensing questions to the licensing experts, but there is device license type. That is true.
Okay, but can I? Okay, I don't know it. Okay. No T-shirt. Okay.
Oh, there's a question over there. We have a lot of questions.
Hi, I have another question related to worksheet pages. Have you thought about also saving views as a possibility on worksheet pages?
Views. Openly speaking, no. But again, it would be subject to the scenario. We'd like to understand the exact business case of like how that would be used. Yeah. So come to me. Let's talk.
I have a question regarding JavaScript layout. You mentioned that it will be not possible to make iframe, and we have solutions based on that.
Yeah, but we are not deprecating those solutions. These are just the two control add-ins that are not supporting that. So these are specific for client accessibilities, the add-ins, such as the camera barcode scanner and the barcode scanner provider, but we are not breaking any existing functionality of the current user control add-ins. So they would just work exactly as you are used to them. So
Yeah, it's specific to, like, for example, camera provider, location provider, what else, contact picker. Those were all native platform capabilities that has been exposed through .NET interface. So that's what's changing.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have one more, or? No? Okay. Well, I think we're good. Thank you all.
thank you.